Hello, it's a fourth line day. Fourth lines, what do they bring us? We have the qualities of friendship, of networks where opportunities can be found and offered. They can be influential, but they can also be kind of fixed, which can be interesting. If you've got a fourth line working on something and they have this fixation, they've got to finish it, they've got to finish it. And that can lead them to burning out. This is another fourth line keynote. On the emotional side, fourth lines can sometimes struggle to keep their hearts open because there's a fear of rejection. They can be a little bit needy, and that neediness can push people away. You may know I have 11 fourth lines, and I totally resonate to, I think, most of the keynotes, if not all of the keynotes of the fourth line, especially the closing down the heart thing. I mean, sometimes if Bear and I have words, I have words, I'm the emotional one. My first instinct is to shut him out. And sometimes there's a lot of focus has to come back down to sort of opening my heart back up again. Sometimes takes longer than others, but that's the way for you. So really work with those things. Yeah, so gate 8 in the fourth line, it's called respect. And yeah, I just want to go all Aretha Franklin here and start. Yeah, just want a bit of respect when I come home. And it's just really, I wonder, is there a song for every line? What do you reckon? I can feel my open heart, not my open heart, my open head, open head's going like, yay. Got to find a song title for every line. Coming to a transit report near you. Lifetime learning. The gift of naturally recognizing the contributions of others, and particularly the acknowledgement of those who lead by example. And can you hear all of those keynotes that are sort of coming in there, the keynotes for the eighth line, eighth gate rather, as well as the keynotes for the fourth line. So we've moved into the upper trigram here with the fourth line, and now the individual becomes aware of the contributions of others. This is my contribution to Blackbirds. Oh, wants to know what are others going to contribute. It knows what its own contribution is, and it knows that as an individual, as an eighth gate, it's different. Their contribution is not going to be the same as anyone else's. But they also want to see, and they do see, the contributions of others. Others is a kind of really big keynote for fourth lines. Interesting film as well. Did you see it? Nicole Kidman, wasn't it? Yeah, the exaltation, the uncompromising drive to assimilate, the drive to contribute and to be an example to and for others. So our fourth lines, they're opportunistic. So making a contribution for them begins with recognizing that they must wait for their opportunity. They must be an example in their contribution, an example to others. The fourth line needs its others. We know that a keynote for individuality is melancholy. It's part of the process. Ra says that individuals cannot make direct contributions when they are melancholic and sad, because then that will be the contribution. That's what will come out of them. Think of all those melancholic ballads, that cause us to feel that way too. Individuality also has the keynote of timing. They must wait for the correct timing to make their contribution. And this is a projector channel. It must also be invited. So in other words, the individual is going to have to wait to make their contribution based on all of these factors in order to enter into that contribution correctly and to have it received by the collective. Ra reminds us in the line companion for the 8-3, I think, that everything goes back to us living out our nature. If we live out our nature, the lines operate correctly because everything is in balance. And what we're coming to find is that balance within ourselves. And we do that by living out the nature of our design. The balance is already there. It's just sometimes a little bit covered over by conditioning and by judgments and things like that. I read a lovely phrase once. It was around cleaning the mirror. We look into a mirror, and if the mirror is dirty, we can't see ourselves. So we clean the mirror, and then we have this is what happens as we decondition through this journey, as we go through our 7-year cycles, and the conditioning drops away. the mirror is becoming clean. In the detriment, in a group where limitation is transcended, reason alone cannot predict individual worth. As an example, the acknowledged leader of an athletic team is not necessarily the most talented. A gift for contribution that is not conditioned by limitations. This line, respect. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you do, you can always make a contribution. And that contribution can change the world around you in ways that you may not ever know. And it may not be a huge thing. It may seem insignificant, but we don't know. We rarely see the whole picture enough to judge what is going to happen. The fourth line is going to externalize their contribution, and because of the nature of individuality, something will change. It's mutative. Does that have a value? Does it have a worth? Who knows? It's not really the point, in a way. One of the keys to individuality is that individuals are not here to be best. That's not for them, that's the collective thing. That's the mastery, the experimentation to get to the point where you're the best. The individual is here to be different. And this line tells us individuals don't have to be the most talented to be the focus of attention. They don't have to be the most talented in order to be the example that guides others. They just have to be themselves. Grounding here is the 14th gate in the fourth line, called security. So does security ground respect? When we're respected, we may feel more secure in our network. The individual may not want to be part of a collective or the tribe, but that doesn't mean they don't want to feel secure. It doesn't mean they don't want to be respected for that contribution that they make. Gate 14 brings the power in terms of resources. My contribution is to get my throat in a knot. Gate 8 is able to externalize its contribution more freely when it has the resources to rely on. Maybe this is how the 14 grounds into the 8, because it's the gate of resources. It's so much easier to make a contribution when the financial reward is not your goal. Do you have any thoughts on this? Would you like to share them? You are invited to share them. I always read them. I will inform you of that. I always read your comments. And it's always interesting for me because it teaches me. I've said this before. Anything that I hear from you guys helps to round out my education so that when I'm teaching my classes, I have anecdotes to share and they may resonate with other people in ways that my own experience isn't going to. So anything you have, share it, contribute it. I would be most grateful. Mercury goes into gate 27 at 7:43, and this is the gate of nourishment, the gate of caring. So for the next few days, listen out for these themes in the conversations around you, in the stories that you read in the newspapers. There may be some attention given to people who are considered selfish because they're looking after themselves, making sure they have what they need first, which is, of course, what this sacral gate is all about. There can be some conditioning around looking after other people before you look after yourself, but we know when we've listened to this gate before that that's a bit backwards. Sun was in this gate not long ago, and we know that you can't give more than you have. An abundance starts with you, with what you have, so that you've got what you need in order then to share it with others, to contribute it to others. The moon is still currently realizing things in gate 47, making sense of the confusion of past experiences. It goes into gate 6 at 2023. This is the gate of conflict, this solar plexus gate of conflict and friction. Friction brings heat. The solar plexus is hot, and this solar plexus gate brings that heat. We don't have growth without friction. This is something that's really important, actually, because people are often like, don't want any friction in their life. Especially the open solar plexus, who doesn't want confrontation and doesn't want the friction. But friction can be really juicy. It can be really, we don't have life without friction. Yeah, we don't need the mechanical kind of. You don't need me to illustrate the friction there that brings life, do you? Growth without friction. Moving on. Gate 6 is related to our boundaries, and it controls the pH of our body. So this is something you could explore as the moon brings some focus into here, is like, how are your boundaries? Do your boundaries create friction for you? Is there some conflict, either inner or outer, around the boundaries that you try to maintain? Tomorrow morning at 7:49, the moon moves into gate 46. Gate 46. Let's say 9:46, but there isn't one of those. The moon moves into gate 46, pushing upward, the gate of the determination of the self in the G center. This is part of the vessel of love, and it's one of the keys in the global consciousness program. It's the body, it's the temple, it's the love of it, or not. Do you experience your physical body as a glorious thing? Or could you maybe cultivate a bit more appreciation for it? Our bodies are incredible. They're extraordinary things. All of the different, say things again, going on in here. All of the impulses and the digestion and the blood flow and the heart beating, all of these things, kidneys filtering. It's amazing what goes on in there. And yet we often spend a great deal of energy, money, and time trying to change our bodies, to mold them into something more socially acceptable. This is a gate of synchronicity, gate 46. It's the gate of being in the right place at the right time, perhaps acknowledging that we are in the right body. This is the determination of the self, the determination to let go of experiences. No, expectations. Don't let go of the experiences, but let go of the expectations around your experiences and surrender to everything. Bring some attention to this today. I might go back to bed. But before I go back to bed, I'm going to set myself a personal challenge. I decided on that when I was looking at gate 46 and preparing this presentation, that every time gate 46 is activated in my design, because I don't have it usually, but when it is, I'm going to do something delicious to honor my body, my temple. So, would you like to join me in this challenge? I invite you to join me. It's a good thing sometimes to acknowledge our bodies, and a lot of the time we ignore the vehicle that we drive around in. We actually give more attention to our actual vehicle, our cars, our bikes, our motorbikes, rather than we do this thing that we travel around in. This thing. Oh. I'm going to take my thing back to bed. It's quite early. I woke up this morning and thought, yay, I'm going to do a gate transit. What am I going to do? But I'm done. Go gently. Thank you for watching my ramblings, and I will see you again soon.